Okay, wonderful. Well, welcome. This is a lecture today and an interview. We've been waiting for with bated breath and excited. And really it's due to Deanna's enthusiasm that even I can't wait to hear what she says, because she always has something positive and great to say and teaches me as well as hopefully me teaching her. But if you don't know me, I'm Valerie Sayer. I'm the owner of Nutrition Connection Balance for 16 years. I'm a registered and licensed dietitian. I've advanced exercise international marketing director with Juice Plus, Keep Up My Pharmacy technician license, and a Reiki master. Marilyn Wright will be also speaking today. She's a wellness advisor and qualified senior sales coordinator from Ohio. And then we'll be interviewing Deanna Price from Illinois. Yay, there she is. She's waving. Two-time NCAA championship, 5-time All-American, 3-time US championship, world title in hammer throw. And if you don't know what that is, don't worry, she'll show us and explain, and 2-time Olympian. And she's got continuous future in front of her. So we're all going to be rooting for her, that's for sure. You see on the right here is how I met Deanna. And it was very interesting. And I don't know if she knows this story actually, but my husband was a decathlete, and his best friend and roommate there standing to her, depending on what you're looking at, but on the left, if you're looking straight, is John Smith, who's a wonderful friend and roommate of John and friends, and coach and mentor of Deanna and her husband, and then some other athletes that were being inducted in the Hall of Fame in Carbondale College in Illinois. And one of the things that was interesting, Deanna, that you don't know, or maybe I did tell you, I can't remember, but anyways, is that when we arrived, it was raining for the ceremony, and we parked, and we didn't know if we were in the right place. But there was this woman that was walking up the stairs in this beautiful plum dress. I mean, we're really far away, and I'm like, oh, look at her. And John's like, I think I know her. I'm like, what? And he said, well, what is it? I said, I don't know. There's just something about her. I mean, then there's people everywhere. I pick out her. And of course, we're then next to each other's tables. And then I find out John knows her. And I mean, it was just an amazing, amazing synchronicity. So I'm so pleased that we're able to see her being inducted in the Hall of Fame at her college, and really just the Salukis and be there and really just have this connection. I even had a connection at the hotel when we arrived with her mom and dad. I didn't know. And her mom was dropping stuff. She couldn't quite get everything while I was standing in line to check in. So I helped her mom get stuff and didn't know it was her mom until again after. So you're going to just see how like-minded, high energetic people, I hope, find each other. So we're going to be interviewing Deanna at least, a good half an hour. And then also at the end, we'll have questions. But we want to make sure you know why we started this. So Marilyn, do you want to explain how this got started, and just a short version of what the Shred 10 and Healthy guidelines are for all of us, no matter what level we're at?
So we started this over a year ago, the Habit Changers, and it all started with Shred 10. And we wanted to find better ways to keep our habits up. And we wanted to build each other up too. So Valerie came up with this, and we've been working on Habit Changers, and it's working out wonderful. So with with our Shred 10 guidelines, what Shred 10 does, it helps detox your body, and it makes it easier to make healthier choices. So there are a few guidelines about Shred 10, and I'm going to read those, but I want you to know that if you don't do Shred 10 perfect, it's okay, because we're just trying to get better every day. So if you fall off the wagon, you pick up the next day and you just do better. And we are shredding alongside our colleagues and our friends, and that just is the support we need. So I've called people and said, hey, I'm going to chew on my fingertips right now because I want something different during Shred 10. But I have to tell you, personally, for me, it's really helped my mind and the clarity of my mind. So that's a #1 asset. So here are the guidelines. You add more plant foods and Juice Plus capsules daily. 1 to 2 complete shakes daily. And I always do 2 shakes, sometimes 3 shakes a day. Drink plenty of water. Take 10 deep breaths and get 7 to 8 hours of sleep daily. That's so important. And exercise most days. Now, some exercise enthusiastic people like Valerie and Deanna, they exercise all the time. I'm like a 5-day-a-week exerciser. I am a gym rat, but exercise can be walking around the block too, whatever you do every day, because we all know that consistency rules. So we want to reduce or eliminate caffeine and alcohol, eating after 6 p.m., and processed food. This is for 10 days, and we can do anything for 10 days. So if you're drinking 5 cups of coffee, maybe cut it down to 4, so you just work at your pace. And there's no judge zones going on here because we all have our hiccups with everything. So we try to eliminate gluten and dairy and artificial and refined sugars. So there's the guidelines. And when you start, we work as a team and we figure out how it works best for you. Now, these are my motivation and habit changes. It never changes with this motivated and habit changers, water. I have to be honest, I really wasn't a lover of water, but I have to say I do now because I know how good it is for me and I enjoy it. So water, what it does, it regulates body temperature, lubricates your joints. And as we get older, we need more lubrication, I find. Transports nutrients to our body, avoid dehydration, increases energy. Drink just 4 to 8 ounces or more every day. And if you don't like water, like I said, I really wasn't a big fan, add a slice of lemon, add a cucumber, add ice. And to me, a big treat is a nice glass of ice water. So, and I think for your habits change and so do your taste buds. So you learn to love things that are good for you. Well, exercise, like I say, I am a gym rat. I feel more at home with exercise, and I feel so much better when I exercise. It's so good for our mental health. And right now, with COVID and the way things are going with our world, we all need, that mental boost that exercise can give us. So mental health benefits, less depression, less anxiety. And also every chance you get out there in nature because, God made nature. When I'm walking, we have a little bit of land where I live and I walk through our little woods and I hear the birds and the geese and I don't know, it just brings life into your body. We were given legs to move, so we should be moving. And believe me, Valerie comes to spend the week in Medina, Ohio. I'm moving because that girl moves every second of her life. Nonstop. Start anywhere, 5 minutes every day. And I've had injuries where I only walked for 10 minutes to start. So start anywhere, get on an exercise bike for a minute, at least you're starting, and just consistency and discipline, and you're going to get to where you want to go. And make sure it's not all or nothing attitude. So
thank you.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Marilyn. And it just kind of, it's really a wonderful welcome, Marilyn and Jody and Patricia and the group that's really been working on all of these for the last few years. We just really are passionate about the foundational things are what really change your life. And we always want people to get all the, I call it reaching for the sky, all these things they hear about or whatever. But if you don't have the foundation that supports your body, love, community, the right water, the right movement, you just won't be as healthy. So Marilyn, thank you for introducing the basic, because I know a lot of people here are new today. So we just want to make sure you know how this has come about and how we go over all the different things. So this is important because I see a lot of people, and this is me jump roping in Costa Rica, because it was the first vacation I ever took that didn't have a gym. And once we found out, even John, my husband, was a little worried. He's like, uh-oh, because I like to exercise. I'm like, well, we just ended up doing really long walks to the whole town that was 4 or 5 miles. I learned to jump rope on the beach, which was so much fun. I'd never jump roped on a beach before. So, you find ways. I did more stretching. I did more yoga. It was great. So sometimes we need a change from the regular exercise we're doing to stay, vibrant. So one of the things that happens though, is when I work with a lot of people that are fit or even, normal weight or things like that, they're always saying, I'm healthy. And I'm like, being fit doesn't mean you're healthy. You want to stay healthy. Are you physically fit? Are you mentally fit? I don't care if you're a weekend warrior, if you're an amateur competitor, or if you're a professional coach, college athlete, or pro athlete like Deanna. We want to realize that we want the whole picture, because our soul is in our vehicle, which is our physical body. So we want to treat it really well. And when you're an athlete or you want to exercise, here's our daughter Heidi, it just depends. This is where she was a college volleyball player. She's a volleyball player now in Boca Raton at FAU. But, when you're looking at your personal goals, you really want to think about this. So you tailor the exercise to what your goals are. And again, if you don't have any goals and you're not exercising, like Marilyn said, you start anywhere. Anywhere is better than nothing. And that gets you rolling. But, do you want to reduce body fat? Do you want to have more social, interactions and more stress reduction because you want to be around people and have fun, or just be around someone, even if they're not friends? Sometimes we're very lonely, and a yoga class or a running group is fun. Do you want to be faster? Do you want to be stronger? Do you want to have more endurance? Do you just want to have more energy? Do you want to be injury free? And of course, if you're competing, you don't want to win. You want to be your best and do your best. I've never heard anyone ever say, gee, I joined the softball team and I don't care if I was last. I remember 2 years when I was on a softball team that was last. It was terrible. Luckily, and I had already played softball for years, so I knew it would change, thank goodness. But it's not fun when you're in a group to always lose or be the very last. We didn't win any games one year. Can you imagine? It was awful. So, what's your current health and what do you want your future health to be? So all those things are really, really important when we're looking at how to arrange our life and exercise. And when we look at exercise and we start to look at how even Deanna prepares for her day, food is fuel. Always, if you've seen me speak, I became a registered dietitian because the only thing you're going to do your whole life is eat. You can get a new couch, you can get a new hair color, you get older, you get shorter, taller. Even as you get older, you shrink, right? Things change, right? But you get one body. And if you had a racehorse or you had a fancy car, would you want to feed your racehorse M&Ms? I don't know anyone that has a racehorse that feeds it M&Ms. Even when you give it a treat, you give it an apple, you give it a carrot, you give it whole foods, you make sure it has clean water, right? Same with the race car. When people are talking about supplementation or they're talking about exercise, I always say, do you want to be first, second, or last place? There are a lot of things that are decent or have even a change in your physiology, but why not have first place? Why not have what's the biggest winner in your body or in your competition? Why not have the number one supplement that we know works and has proof to support your system? Or even a dog. Do you give dog fast food? I mean, most people love their animals, right? Would you want to give it McDonald's and French fries every day? I've never had anyone, even that is very unhealthy, ever say they would do that. Oh, I would never do that. I'm like, well, you do it to yourself. That comes with the knowledge and the self-respect that we want to do better. So when we look, there's a study called nutrigenomics, or the words are changing these days to fancier things like epigenetics. And it shows that food are small molecules that are phytochemicals or isoflavones, only in plant foods, interact and work by modifying disease genes, your actual DNA, and help with performance and repair. I didn't put it in there, but when I was thinking about this morning, I always really think a good 15 minutes before I do any speech. I don't run around, I sit and I think. And the thing I thought about besides Deanna's incredible background and her attitude was Dr. Bruce Lipton. He's a biochemist. He's written one of the best books that show you can change your genes even by the energy, who you're around. And he gave up being a PhD professor because he said what we were teaching students wasn't right. So not just the plant foods, but who you're around, the vibration that you hold, nature all builds you up or tears you down. So congratulations for being part of our community that I hope builds you up. These phytonutrients are in an apple, but they're in every food, and all the list looks different. There's thousands. So when even you look at a multivitamin, you'll say, oh, mine has 20 in it. Well, so what? An apple has thousands. A blueberry has thousands more in different ones. Every one of these very small nutrients turn on and off and help our body protect itself. And last night I did the brain lecture, and there's 4 markers in brain inflammation, not the gut, but brain. And guess what the number one thing is that supports it? Phytonutrients. I mean, we get back to it more and more and more. The message is the same, whether you want to get fancy or you want to use common sense. So Juice Plus is one of the things that I've recommended for 20 years now as foundational. When I found it, I was in a compounding pharmacy. And at that time, I even said, I don't care if the pharmacy brings it in. I have been looking for something like this for my children and myself. I came from a wonderful, loving, supportive family, but very unhealthy. And I decided at an early age, I was going to do it different. And I just found that even with genetics, you have to work really hard. You may have to work harder than someone else. So what? So what? It makes you feel more self-confident. Education builds you up. So the Juice Plus's foundation on all these different 30 plant foods support your physiology and give you thousands of different phytonutrients. If you don't like swallowing capsules, You take two and two a day. You can open them, put them in your smoothie, or some people take capsules and chewables. The chewables taste like gummies and are a wonderful treat. We leave them on our counter every month. So if anyone wants a treat versus pretzels or crap, they choose that, that way there's nuts and seeds, there's fruit, and there's the gummies there in addition to the capsules. So talk to whoever invited you. They can go over that in more detail. This lecture is really more about the athletic part. And the Juice Plus was used in it's been used in multiple exercise physiology journals. This is personally my favorite. I think it's my favorite because I went to Germany to see the actual researcher release this study. What I didn't know is when I got to Germany that he didn't speak very good English, and we all had to wear earphones with like 5,000 people. So it was quite an experience. But with this study, they were using the Juice Plus or a placebo, which just means something that looks like Juice Plus but isn't. And the Cobras are the most elite Austrian force in the world. The average age is 34. They do rigorous exercise morning, noon, and night. They did the study for 7 months where they took the Juice Plus or something pretend, that they thought was a Juice Plus. Of course, the people taking it don't know what they're taking. And they showed a reduction in an oxidative marker called protein carbonyl due to high level exercise. So that particular protein carbonyl is only offsetted by high amounts of phytonutrients and right kinds of plant proteins. So the protein carbonyl, when it's too high from overexercise or too much stress or too much medications, increases aging, disease, inflammation, and cell damage. And remember from the brain lecture last night, what turns on all disease, including every cognitive disease, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia, anxiety, depression, inflammation. So we're back to the same thing. You start to see how everything connects when you get involved with education. So improvement in several indicators of immunity. They did not expect that. There was some duty loss due to some severe illness that went through this force while they were doing this study. And they were sick, but were sick less days. Now, if you're out in the middle of a field protecting someone for 4 days, diarrhea is a big problem, right? Or illness, or think about on the track, probably not the best thing to be having, right? So it's really nice to know that it actually protected the immune system and it affected these high level athletes and very high stress political force, nutrition and body. So it's pretty interesting. So what are some of the missing components with athletes? Post-exercise timing. When I work with any athlete, any coach, or any team, I say you're not allowed to ask me any questions until we get down what you eat as soon as you exercise an hour or two or more, and especially if it's very short and very rigorous, like a hurdler or something like that. That might be shorter workouts, but it's very, very taxing. That it is absolutely that you get carbs and protein as soon as you are done. Not after the shower and after you go home. That's when you eat your meal. So we really try to individualize that. So you want to think about what's your post-exercise timing. Do you individualize it? Someone that exercises an hour yoga class, they don't need the same amount that Deanna does after her workouts, right? Even the amount of food she has to eat has got to be more because of the output of energy that she expends and how strong she is. We'll let her tell you about that. And then nutrient density, we want nutrient density, which helps with energy, injury, disease, and mental health. So nutrient density means more nutrition for the same thing. So an apple has more nutrition than 1,000 milligram vitamin C. You're like, no, it doesn't. Yes, it does. It has thousands of phytochemicals, only 3 to 5 milligrams of vitamin C typically. But what goes up in your blood, because the body knows how to use it, is more than the 1,000. And you've got all those thousands of phytochemicals, 2-3 grams of fiber, and I can go on and on, right? So you're starting to get where that nutrient density is important. And one of my passions when I found Juice Plus was with athletes, because I was always an over-exerciser because I didn't know what else to do to stay healthy and keep my weight down. And the other reason was that when I work with a lot of athletes, I notice they have a higher propensity for cognitive problems and diseases, especially sleep and depression later on, and cancer. And we know when we're looking now at a lot of things, these are just some in case, again, right now, Serena and Venus Williams are front stage just from an incredible movie. And they're the really 2 other female athletes that are just incredible, but they both have severe autoinflammatory diseases. And again, inflammation starts earlier if you exercise super hard or more. So over-exercising women and men have more cancer, infertility, and miscarriages, even after they stop competing. And that's because they need 2 to 10 times the nutrition that the average person does. So if I'm saying you need 10 to 17 servings of fruits and vegetables and 90 to 200 grams of protein, and an athlete needs 2 to 10 times that amount, do you really think Deanna can eat 80 servings of vegetables and fruit a day? I mean, she eats pretty well now, but probably not. Yeah. So again, I just want you to know that it has a real outcome. We care about people in our community, or at least most people do. And hopefully you do, because we have brothers, sisters, parents, wives, friends. We care about our people that even when they're doing an athletic event or they look a certain way, we want you to be healthy because we love you. We don't want you to just be famous or good for a few years or 10 years. We want to know that you're going to be healthy forever. And the people that you love want you to be healthy forever. So again, just be aware of how important it is. It's not just about exercising, it's about the inflammation. So with that post-exercise meal training, here is a beautiful picture that Deanna sent me one day when we were talking. And she's like, well, don't worry, I took my shake. And here she is, taking her shake, which is pretty cool. As soon as you finish, especially post-training exercise that lasts 60 minutes or longer or extremely intense. Now, yoga class it can be very intense, or it might not be. So everybody has to kind of judge what they consider intense. And that's something we'll talk about in another lecture. But you want to refuel as soon as possible and within 30 minutes. And all the time people say, no, I take my shake when I get home. By the time they pack their bag, talk to a few people going out, drive home, change their wet clothes if they didn't already, take a shower, it's an hour. I'm going to tell you, it's too long. You've missed that window to repair those muscle fibers you've broken down, and the glycogen stores, which is the energy from the right carbohydrates. That energy gives you a better workout next time, so you don't bonk, so you're not tired. Because a lot of times people will exercise the next day, they say they're wiped out for 3 days. That's because they didn't fuel properly. And of course, it might be different if it's a big event, because it's very mentally taxing and very physically taxing and long days and travel, but that's different. So, and then you want to have a meal within 60 to 90 minutes of your high intensity exercise. Okay. So one of the ones that is my absolute favorite is the complete. And the reason is I used it first when I found it in 2002 with my anorexic patients and my end-stage cancer patients, because they could have one shake and they would start to improve or have better health markers. And that seems awfully odd when they can hardly eat or they're not eating enough. But it's so nutrition dense. And now we know 2 or 3 different facts. That number one, it's the only plant protein that has a perfect protein score of 1.0 on the whole of any shakes worldwide. It is low in calories, fat, and sugar. It's 7 grams of fiber. It's 6 different plant proteins. And remember, plant proteins also have all those phytochemicals versus something that's from whey or casein. It's dairy and gluten-free, so it's non-inflammatory. It is the most nutrient-dense shake on the market, even according to Dr. Berberian, who is a PhD in public health that looked at all the shakes on the market. So again, when you get 13 grams of carbs and 13 grams of protein, it's a perfect carb to protein ratio, and it has immune protectors. So, and when people have any kind of big issues, digestive issues or something else, I say start with 1 ounce. Make a 6 ounce, make it smaller with less water or almond milk, and have 1 ounce every hour. When I have very sick people or with vomiting or even COVID and people are sick, we just do 1 ounce every hour. You don't have to, we're talking about athletics here, but there's ways to get that in. So it's really, really good. And if you want to have more calories, you can obviously add peanut butter, almond butter, and certainly leafy greens or other things. So that oxidative stress when we overexercise increase athletes always overtrain. One of the big goals is not to have injuries. So long-term inflammation and joint overuse, you again got to have 2 to 10 times of the phytonutrients. So again, that non-athlete needs 10 to 7 tree-ripened servings, and an athlete is a whole nother level like Deanna. So it's really important to get the foundational Juice Plus and the food. And then with disease, there's quicker aging. There's more depression risk, lower neurotransmitters over time. Gut health is often destroyed because of stress of events I know my son here, Dylan, used to have a lot of anxiety sometimes with events. So that changes the gut health that affects performance and how you utilize phytonutrients and protein. Higher risk of cancer, polypharmacy, and which just means 3 medications or more. And often that happens when someone has an injury. No athletes purposely want to get injured or want to get on pain medications or other loads of medication, but it's a very slippery slope because of addictions as well of how it destroys some of the pathways. And then post-surgery and normal injury. So when we know, here's the last kind of wrap up, is why the protein's also so important for acute tears, any kind of muscle soreness or post-surgery, is there's 3 phases. And when we talk about biochemical healing, an inflammatory response, which you've got to have inflammation, right? When you have a cut, it turns red and then heals itself because it's inflammation. That's localized. That's not systemic all through your body. Then there's fibroblastic and remodeling. And when you get injured or have a high inflammation level, you need 40 to 60 more grams of protein for at least 7 to 21 days post-injury or surgery than normal. So it's not that I eat enough protein. You have to get 40 to 60 more than your normal amount. And the only way to do that actively is really through the shakes, either the plant protein of the Complete or the Juice Plus Perform. The Perform is new and it's 25 grams of protein per 2 scoops. I still, if someone asks, prefer the Complete or the combination. I use a combination of the Complete with 1 scoop of the Perform, and I have 2 to 3 shakes a day because I work out twice a day myself. So again, everybody's different of what they like. So let's move on. Now we know a little bit about athletics and that we're going to talk to Deanna in just a minute, but I think it's important, and I might need help navigating. I don't know if Heidi's still on. She was teaching me how to do this, but let's see if the link works so we can watch what Deanna does before we get wowed by her attitude and what she does and is. Oh, there's no sound. Okay, how do we get the sound? Okay, we got to go back. Wait, we got to go back because you got to hear Deanna from the beginning.
I was first introduced into the hammer by this gentleman named Gary Cooper. And at the time I'm looking at it, I'm like, wait, I thought a hammer was like this. And he goes, all right, so just wind it around your head. And I was like, all right, I wind it. My first wind, I hit myself right in the forehead. And I remember taking it.
Valerie, are we supposed to be seeing a video?
Yes, you can't see it?
No,
Okay.
Do you have a signature celebration?
Hold on.
Do you like throw your hands in the air? Do you fist pump? What do you do?
So if I
Okay,
know it's
so
a good
hold on.
throw,
Let's see if we can figure it out.
You can hear it probably from like a mile away.
Could you scream?
No
for
idea.
us?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
So we can't see it.
Yeah, that's my scream.
Well, no wonder everyone's faces were
Oh my
like
god,
that.
I'm actually known as the international hugger. Okay.
Just listen and then we'll see if we
I
can fix
absolutely
it.
can't stand it whenever someone like comes up and like one of these to me. I'm like full body, full pressure, and it's just that connection and that energy that you transfer between people. That's what it means to be an athlete. You know, being able to impact others.
Deanna Price, the world champion.
Okay, does anyone know how to help me fix it? I have no idea why you wouldn't be able to
Now
see
you're
it.
on fire.
Okay, let me stop the share a minute.
Oh, my aunt came up, now you're on fire,
Okay.
and ever since then she's been calling
See
me
if you
that.
can help
And
me,
when I started
Patricia.
my rugby career, I thought
Sorry,
back
guys,
to that
hold on a
moment
minute.
and seeing how much it related to who I am right now and the fire that I have in me and just my speed. And I think it was perfect to
Oh,
bring
boy.
back to life.
Okay, that's what I was afraid of, Heidi.
We received something a few minutes ago.
Okay, sorry. Hold on, everybody.
And there it is. Nadia Chopper.
I just have no idea how to stop it.
I had a lot of turtles, so I like them because they're kind of the opposite of me, where I'm really
Oh, my
fast
goodness.
and they're slow, even though they're not really slow. That's a stereotype. They're not slow. They're not
Okay.
slow.
We heard you have a hidden talent. Can you tell us what that is?
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
At the top, can you click view options?
I just don't know. So I'm sorry, you guys. What we'll do is we'll send the link out when I do, we'll do this again tonight and we'll practice it more. We did practice. I don't know why it's not working. It's always different live. And then we'll send the link so you can see Deanna, but let's interview her. And then, you know, she can explain a little bit more. Hopefully you listened a little bit to her, but you've got to see it because that's the really amazing part. So let me just first just put up that slide, see if we can get that to work now. Right. Okay. So Deanna, what event is your Olympic and World Championship success been in? And then tell us more. And I'm going to stop the share so we can see your face. And so since people couldn't see you compete there, we will get it figured out. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You were good. I was like, you did a better job than I would have. Me and technology are not really compatible. So I get it. So I do the women's hammer throw. So if you don't know what the women's hammer throw is, so it is an 8.8 pounds, so it's 4 kilos pound ball on a 3-foot 11-inch wire with a handle. And I can you can do as many turns as you can in this 7 diameter ring, and you end up throwing it between 2 sector lines, and you have to throw it between. It's crazy because you're surrounded by this cage and half the cage is closed, and you have this opening about the size of I guess 2 sliding doors, and that's your opening. That's all you got. And I can generate up to 75 miles per hour within 2 seconds. And if you need so usually like an 8.8 pound ball, think of that as like the weight of a newborn baby or your cast iron skillet. I could throw that the length of a football field.
Wow.
I was like, love the hammer. It's such an amazing event. And hopefully you guys be able to look at the video because you're able to integrate like this power and speed and technique all in one. And it's really pretty. I would say it's like a power ballerina, pretty much.
I agree. That's a great way to explain it. Yeah. Well, you know, and again, we will make sure the video gets out and I'll practice before. There's another way that I can put up a screen that I do in the past without trying to get fancy. So I'll make sure I do that tonight. So when did you start training, and tell us about your family, and were you naturally athletic and into nutrition?
So back in the day, you know, with my mom and dad, I have 2 older brothers, Marcus and Steven. And so we're all 3 years apart and we're all born in June. Was not planned that way, just happened.
Wow.
And my 2 older brothers were very critical in me developing very quickly. It was either survive or be left behind. And they had me riding a bike at 3 years old with no training wheels. And I remember distinctly, I ended up riding my bike at 3, 1.5 miles to my cousin's house because I wanted Oreos. I was very athletic, but also my nutrition was not great. You know, my parents, they grew up in that era where, you know, it was like hamburger helper, and you know, it was like you got your protein and that was about it, or a protein and a potato. That was pretty much what we kind of grew up on. And it was very, very rare, you know, that we sat there and we thought about actually what needed to go into our system, you know, before, you know, meals, you know, mom, or before like competitions, mom would bake like brownies, cakes, cookies. And, you know, luckily, you know, she has always been this crazy force in my corner, like best parents in the world. And they sacrifice everything for their kids. And I remember whenever, you know, the recession hit, both my parents lost their jobs within 2 months of each other. But they made sure that they were there for every game. They made sure they were there to pick me up after every practice, ask me how I was, what I needed to do, how could I be better. I did softball, basketball, volleyball, and track. I was never, I would say, I was always like, I had the talent, but I had to do extra work to get to that level. And to me, I say what I credit is my mom. She always told me, she goes, if you're going to do something, it's 100%. She goes, if you're committed to this team, that means you go to every practice, every meet. She goes, basically you have to be on your deathbed if you're not going to do this. And she was a great athlete herself. You know, she ended up holding like the 400 record for track and field. And my dad, he was always known for his biceps and lifting heavy weights. And so I always say I got the athletic ability from my mom, but then I got my biceps from my dad.
Beautiful.
It is amazing journey that I've been on. And I actually got introduced into the hammer later on to my career. I was actually going to go to college for softball.
Oh.
Yeah, that was my plan. I actually held the home run record for Missouri at, I think it was 14 home runs with a batting average of 502. And I loved ball, played since I was 5. But track and field, I started my freshman year in high school, but I wasn't introduced to the hammer till the end of my freshman year. Altogether, from freshman year to senior year, I had about 3 months of training before I went to college.
Wow.
And I remember the first time being introduced into the hammer, the 65-year-old gentleman comes up to me and he says, I need you to come to my house. I need to show you something. Mind you, I'm thinking, stranger danger. I don't. I was like, so he was very persistent. Luckily, he got a hold of my parents, went to his house. This guy literally had a hammer like cage in his front yard. And it like literally was woods, a clearing, dirt, and a cage. And I was like, oh. Like, how did you do this, sir? And of course, whenever I thought a hammer, like, hammer, yeah. And he comes out and he brings me this hammer. And I remember sitting there and I'm holding it. He goes, wind it around your head and throw it. And I'm winding it and I hit myself right in the forehead with the hammer. I remember dropping it. I looked at him and I go, thank you, I appreciate it, but I'm gonna go to college to play softball. But luckily he was very persistent, and they took softball at the Olympic Games, and I thought I'd give hammer a go.
Oh, wow. What a fascinating story. Now, I didn't know any of that. So, wow, that's amazing. So again, pretty destined, as far as, and obviously, it's like we always teach people, people come into your life sometimes for a reason, but do we pay attention? So obviously you're pretty in tune with that kind of thing, even at that age that, people were asking you to come, to try the hammer. So that's pretty amazing. So that's pretty neat. Yeah, let me get my cursor there and let's get the next question. So we want to make sure we learn everything we can. So what does an average work week look for you, and how do you stay motivated? Because we know that, we're just talking about trying to exercise regularly and people have trouble, but what is that discipline? Again, what do you do? So we know.
Getting at this level has been very, very intense. So I will say that I've always felt like I was missing a certain part of this. And that's why I was very, very grateful when I ran into you at the Hall of Fame, because to me, that nutrition part was that certain percentage that I knew that I was missing. I do have a very long history of injuries because I do have such a hard, heavy load, and I didn't realize the impact of what I was putting into the system was what I was getting out, my output. I was expecting to be a racehorse, but I was putting, vegetable oil in it and expecting it to run properly pretty much. So, my freshman year, I snapped my shoulder blade. I still threw well, through 62, 62. Sophomore year, tore my abdomen, went 65. Junior year, I tore my MCL, stretched out my ACL and PCL, and I came back. I had a red shirt, came back 9 months later, broke the NCAA record, and I went 72-30. Wow. And then my senior year, I had 3 bulging discs in my lower back, and I ended up going 73-09 and making my first Olympic team. And luckily, to me, I always was able to rebound very, very well. And to me, injury is part of life, but it's how can we maintain that to be a lower impact on your system. So for me, now looking at it, I know that injury, yes, will come, but if you're doing things properly, your recovery time shortens so quick and you're able to rebound a lot faster. And this year, before I met you, I had a pretty serious injury. I was actually supposed to win gold this year. And at Olympic trials, I actually threw 80-31, becoming the second furthest thrower in the world. And it was so exciting because you're going in there, but a week before trials, I just felt a sharp pain in my foot and I just thought it was a pulled muscle. Kept throwing on it, kept throwing on it. Luckily, still threw far. Broke the American record for the 6th time. I was excited. Had 5 weeks to get ready for Tokyo. And I remember I was training and I just had this baseball-sized swelling on top of my foot. And I was devastated because we ended up getting MRI results. I ended up snapping off the tip of my fibia. Ended up tearing 3 tendons and I ended up fracturing my talus. And on top of that, I was already dealing with a torn hip labrum that I kind of was able to keep it together, patchwork basically. And whenever the ankle went, the hip went as well. And luckily though, my husband has been this amazing force in my corner. And he's like, do not worry. He goes, we were looking at gold or medaling. Let's just take it minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day. So our first goal was, all right, let's get through this practice. How can we do it? I had about 2 weeks I couldn't throw. And the mental, sorry, it's gonna make me tear up. It's so frustrating because I wanted so much. My core, one of my motivations is basically doing it for, if you do it for yourself, it's kind of lonely. So to me, I really wanted to, do it for my family, do it for my community, do it for my country, do it for my university, do it for my people. And, to me, that was the hardest part because I felt like I was letting down a little bit. But to me, what I actually found was an joyous amount of support that I found. And, because I just remember just bawling my eyes out because I was like, I was supposed to be the first gold medalist ever, or first to ever medal in the event. And I had to, I threw 73.09 on a broken ankle and a torn hip, and I placed 8th in the world. So to me, it was like, okay, it's hard. So ended up having 2 surgeries. They ended up full ankle reconstruction, took the bone out, ended up rerouting all the tendons, and then ended up having a month later another hip surgery after that, and getting that torn labrum. They ended up having to shave down the bone and everything like that. But the workload that we have been doing and what I was doing is, it's every minute, every day. Like when I wake up, since meeting, Valerie and everything, it's been, I wake up, first thing I do, I have this amazing machine that has all my pills in it because I have a terrible habit of forgetting, or I just get in a rush and I don't think about it. So I bought this so I would not forget. And it is amazing because I take 2 pills. I take my pills twice a day. And this thing, it yells at you if you do not take it. It just screams. I'll have to have her post it, but it is amazing. I think I've only missed 1 day since I started. And I honestly, since I started taking it, and I talked to Valerie because I was also dealing with this crazy amount of stomach distress. I was sick for about 4 weeks. I was having diarrhea. I couldn't eat anything with bread. Nothing with dairy. It was strictly just protein. Honestly, it was just chicken tinga and corn tortilla that I could not, and eggs that, that was about it. I couldn't eat anything else because if I did, I'd be in the bathroom a couple minutes later. And since I started on, Juice Plus, and then implementing all these different things into the system, waking up in the morning, first thing I do, I take my pills first thing. Then I make my breakfast. When we discovered things that my inflammation markers and what I can properly eat and when I shouldn't, I had to stay away from, high cholesterol foods. So trying to do more lean meats, trying to, instead of eating 6 eggs a day with the yolk, and that's on the low end where I was eating even more. Now, I've turned into egg beaters, and, I'm implementing and then adding in, the vegetable parts. So I'm doing bell peppers, onions, mushrooms, and it's this whole new spectrum of trying to visualize. And what I've actually learned, what's great is that each week I designate a certain ethnic, food decisions. So this week is Mexican week. So, and it keeps me on track. It makes sure, and I literally pull up on my phone, healthy Mexican recipes. And that's what I eat for the week. And then my next week is Korean. And then the week after that is Japanese. And the week after that is Indian. And so it doesn't let me get bored with the food, because I love food. Food is my huge enjoyment, but having that transitional thought of enjoyment to fuel. And because I had to throw away a lot of my baking stuff, because when I was stressed, or if I wasn't feeling great, I'd bake a triple chocolate fudge cake with chocolate ganache topping, and I do all this baking, and I'd be eating it, and that processed sugars and everything. And luckily, I still have that sweet tooth. So Valerie was really sweet. She has like these complete protein pancakes. So if I am craving something sweet that's not going to kill me, I make me these. I train about, I would say now I'm up. So before I was training about, on the short end, about 3 hours of throwing to 3 to 4 hours a day of throwing. And then from there, I would just come home and I'd just be a couch potato, because I'd be so exhausted. Now, we're able to really implement and realize, like not only doing nutrition work, but also therapy work. So, every morning, wake up, I make my breakfast, have my pills, then I go and I do stretching for about 30 to 45 minutes. And then from there, I have my complete protein shake. What I did, because I was being naughty and forgetting my complete protein shakes, I now put a whole pack in my cart in the glove box, so I do not forget. Because I just, sometimes you get dodo bird and you forget things. And as you can tell, I get really high energy, but when a lot of high energy, my brain just goes whoo. And from there, I'd go to practice. I always bring my shake with me now. And then I try to drink one before. I found that I have really good energy and a really good process of throwing while drinking that kind of during my practice. Because when you have a heavy food in your stomach, you're throwing, your energy is all processing what you ate, and it's not actually going to what you need to do. So I try, if I do have a later practice, eat a very, very small lunch, have a complete protein before I throw. And then after practice, I try to have another one, and then I come home and then I'll have, I guess, another smallish lunch, semi-lunch. And then I come back and then I go to therapy for about an hour. And then, if I'm having a really rough day, my hip's not cooperating with me. So now practice throwing is usually about 2 to 3 hours now. I've gotten back up to that limit where I'm actually able to complete a full throwing practice, but I'm not feeling beat afterwards, which is great. Because there was days I would just come home and I just lay down. Now I actually feel like I'm motivated. I'm feeling better. I can actually tell that when I started taking all this, my corrects, I had like no oil, like fish oils or omega fatty acids, whatever it was in my system. So ever since I started taking that, my calcium, my B12, my vitamin D, I was very low on many things. How I did what I did is very, very crazy.
Very talented.
Yes. I was like, wow, I definitely would not have survived very long afterwards. And luckily we got on the system, and now I'm actually, because before I'd just get home and, like I said, be a couch potato and try to just muster up the energy to make dinner. And now I come home, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do extra laundry. I'm going to actually vacuum the house. And it was getting really, really hard because I was feeling very claustrophobic in my own environment because I wasn't taking care of myself. It was expressing in my outward. And to me, I'm very big on trying to circulate your energy and having that, openness and, motivation. And whenever you feel like you're not getting things done, you start feeling a little bit more stuck and gunky, and then you start feeling kind of depressed and sad, and you start you need to do things, but you just don't want to, you don't have that motivation. But then now it's my words of, encouragement is, who do I do this for? What's the purpose and why? And I ask myself those questions every single day, because I know if I'm able to put that in perspective and know why I'm doing something, it makes it a lot easier to go throughout my day.
Yeah. And she's talked about the throwing and the attitude, what it takes, but how about the weight training?
Oh, yes.
Don't just throw and go to therapy.
Yes, I forgot the weight. I can't believe that is a crucial part. Like I am known for my strength. So I can front squat. My PR is 530.
What PR is, some people won't know what that means.
Personal record. My personal record, front squat. So you have to hold the bar in front like that across your chest. It's 530 pounds. My my clean is 160 kilos. So like for our squats, for some reason we have it in pounds and then our cleans are in kilos. So 160 kilos, I think that's like almost 400 pounds.
John would know.
Yeah, right. I was like, where's John?
I know. Come on, John. We need you.
Yeah. I was like,
Where's the number guy? I know.
I know my snatch is 110 kilos, which I think is 220 something pounds. My back squat is 600 pounds. And then my safety squat is 890 pounds. I wanted to get to the 900, but Coach Lambert, who's also my husband, was like, "No, we're good. That's all you need. You just do next. You stop."
Yeah.
So we lift a lot, and our lifting is like, it is crazy. We're there. I usually get there from 12, and I'm not out till 5. It's just heavy, crucial lifting, trying to get better, trying to get started. Is that John? Is he doing?
Yes.
Hello. I was listening upstairs.
The amount, so because a lot of people don't know kilos or so on, but just
what's
160 kilos is like 362.5 pounds. 362 pounds. And also a power clean, for those that don't know what a power clean is, that's pulling the bar loaded with weights off the floor and catching it. So 362.5 pounds for a power clean. So powerful women are powerful women.
That's right. It is so amazing. I always look forward to anything Deanna sends me, because it's just like, this is a real person. This is not fictional on a super character, TV show. I mean, this is like a real woman. This is awesome.
So a quick note though, at the very beginning, when Valerie was doing the introduction, she showed a picture of Deanna with Coach John Smith, my roommate in college, and they looked like these little children next to the bookends. By the way, those guys, the two guys on the bookends are like 6'9". So Deanna's not 5'2".
Yeah.
And John in the picture is about 6'1", 290 pounds.
Yeah.
When you get down to how strong someone is, I was an Olympic level decathlete, and about at my best, maybe 2/3 as strong as this young lady.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah. So we want to make sure in perspective, because I know a lot of people don't know, what some of those things mean. And I know, we do, but again, it's helpful to hear it from you. And so people can look, and especially when they look up some different things, about you on the internet, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. If people want to really see what you're doing, go to YouTube and just type in her name. Okay. And you can watch some of her competitions and throws. And of course, she's a great person to have around if you have a flat tire, because she can lift up the back of the car. Literally, that is true. And while you change the tire.
And you're going to probably be singing and having a really good time. That's the other good part, as you can see. I think part of Deanna's success, quite frankly, is her attitude. And that's, what we're all about that giving attitude and not doing it just for herself and so on. And that's a butterfly effect on all of us. So we're really grateful.
I don't have a camera on my.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, John. Thank you. So we know it's not all glory. We heard about, some of the injuries and so on. Do you think, is it in Tokyo, you think was your biggest setback initially? Or what do you think is really one of the hardest times you've had?
I will say Tokyo was probably hands down was probably the hardest, because it was such a fast time that I had to adapt. That was like, it was that moment where it was like, I'm at the highest point. I'm so excited. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
And it just felt like somebody just slammed me down.
Yeah.
And, you know, I actually went to a sports psychologist there in Tokyo because having to make that mental adjustment of,
Yeah.
all right, 80 meters to, okay, God, please let me throw 70 meters. And
Yeah.
10 meters is a huge difference. That's
Yeah.
30, I think, what is it, 10 times 3.3. So it like 33 to I think like 38 feet. And that's a huge difference. And so having that mentality of trying to, you know, figure out what you need to do. And on top of it, it was COVID. And I thrive off, you know, being around people, being around, and that was very hard for me because I had to stay in a confined space and I wasn't even allowed to be with my husband. And to me, that was very, very hard because I wasn't able to, you know, I guess get out there and kind of just be like, all right, this is okay. And absorb the moment. I had to just stay in this confined room and be by myself. And in the beginning, people were excited. So that everyone was kind of together. And then we had a positive testing. After that, it was gone. Like everybody was, you all the time, like even when you were eating, you had these plastic sheets, bars, like in front and by you. And so, yeah, you can kind of talk, but you don't really get that connection. And, you know, to me, I'm really big on and it was very hard because I believe when you hug someone, you transfer energy between them. You know, you give them something, and you know, it is just I love hugs because that's just how I've always been able to communicate. That has always been my love language, I guess you could say.
Yeah, you know that one.
I know, and I was like, that's why they call me the international hugger. And I was like, I couldn't hug anyone.
Oh, it's so hard, isn't it?
I know with the virus, but internally I was not only struggling physically but also mentally. And that to me was probably the hardest thing I've ever had to overcome because it was such a short amount of time. And I had so many people just in my corner, and you know, and I was so excited. And it's just having to have that reflection of, okay, this is my cards. This is what I'm dealing with. And, you know, I would say maybe because I said, you know, if I was going to medal this year, then I was going to retire after this year and, you know, have kids and go that route. But now I'm like, well, no, I just got a little fuel in my fire. So 2024, here I come.
There we go. I know it. Well, we're going to be rooting for you. That's for sure. So, yeah. Well, you know, we really answered the other question, you know, you weaved in, which was really great about how you've changed your habits and taking the Juice Plus. Is there any one habit that sticks out? And that way we can make sure people can ask questions because I know our time's running out.
Oh man, the number one habit that I would just say, like fueling and understanding, you know, to realize that, you know, I am giving so much of myself and my body that I have to remember to refuel my own energy. And not only, you know, mentally, but also getting the correct proper nutrients into the system. Even as a professional athlete, I was struggling. And there's a reason why I reached, you know, I was so there. She's like, oh yeah, you know, I have nutritionist. I was just like, oh really?
She was all in right away.
I was like, hi there. Well, one, like I already liked her personality. And then she said that, I was like, I was just like, I already love you, but now I love you even more.
I know. It was a really nice connection. I know.
It was meant to be.
I was very grateful to meet you. You've just, you know, like I said, we talk a lot about in our community about, you know, when the phone rings, yeah, I'm busy or I've got this to do. Phone rings or text like, oh, it's Deanna, when was she sending me? Oh my gosh, what was she got? What's she lifting? What's her dog? What's her meal week? I mean, you know, that's what you want in life, right? You're around somebody that's so exciting and vivacious and even when not having the best day, she's very authentic. And we always teach that, right? We've got to be authentic. Nobody has a perfect day every day. You know, and sometimes just, you know, and I think of the one competition you were at, you know, where you just saw someone get injured and how that affected you. And, you know, that things happen to all of us. And that's where the pattern, you've had such good habits that you were able to, even like in Tokyo, go so deep and pull it together to still place 8th with all those injuries. not just pull out, but placed eighth. I mean, it says a lot. And that's what those habits do, right? That long-term ingrainment. It gives you that confidence to get through it. So, you know, so as you can see, why I was so excited to have Deanna on today, why don't we open it up for questions, and then Marilyn, I'll just let you wrap it up. And I know we're going to be a few minutes over, so go ahead. Anybody want to take your microphone off? I know it's hard to remember that, but take your microphone off, ask a question or comment for Deanna.
I just want to say how inspiring she has been. Thank you very much. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Glad you enjoyed it. Anybody else?
Thank you for sharing everything that you told us. How many megas do you take a day? I'm just curious.
So I take 4. So I end up having the, like I got it from her. I know I called Maria. I just ran out today. So I'm super excited because I get to refill my little thing. I take 4 a day, and it's been amazing. And I'm trying to implement, more fish, but if I had to only eat fish, I'd be eating like, I think it's supposed to be like 10 pounds a day to get that amount. And to me, my body, like, there's no way I can eat 10 pounds of fish. You can't really get clean fish. We're super, like, there's some other bad stuff in there, but the omegas, I take 4 of those. And then calcium, I take 4 of those. I take my Juice Plus. I take 2, 2, and 2. I love the chewies. Oh, the fruit, and I like it when I leave the bag open a little bit, so then they get a little bit extra chewy. I love that. So I know I was like, they're like, oh, it gets stale. No, I was like, it just gets enough that it has like a little extra. Like I like when I was younger, I used to chew on like rubber. So to me, it's like I get to chew on something. I was just like, yeah, it just tastes awesome.
That's good. A good mouth feel is what I call that. Yeah. We have one question from Heidi, who's my stepdaughter. She said, I'm currently in class, so I have to message my question. I've been dealing with the disc herniation for the past 6 months, and I'm still dealing with it. How did you push yourself to overcome the mental barrier it comes with a longer injury? And anything that you could, inspire. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. So for me, whenever I came through an injury, because a lot of people are going to count you out. And it's inevitable. People are going to think you're not in there, you're not going to do well, or they're going to try to steal your spot. What I always do is whatever you can do, you're already a leg up. So, you're playing volleyball. I was like sitting down on a chair, doing just hitting walls. I was like doing certain little tiny things, working on other parts of the body, and then trying to imagine, because a lot of it's also neurological. So when you have a traumatic event, there is a disconnection from that injury to your brain, and having to re-signal yourself. And honestly, I start thinking, try to think of pathways of how to get to that system. And for me, when I had my back injury, it was a lot of, I didn't sit on the couch. I was like, for me, the couch killed my back. I couldn't do it. Yeah. So for me, it was, I'd lay on the ground, I put my butt up to the couch, and I put my knees to where they're at 90, and I let my back sink. And when you do, then your spine will actually start to realign itself accurately. And another one is trying to, because not only whenever you herniate it, the inflammation of those discs it's extremely painful. But to try to get, I guess, more blood flow to that area, I got an inversion table, and I would slowly go increment by increment down. I would not go straight down, because then that's such an impact on your body. Slowly go, I'd say like 1 week, be at 1 notch, and lay there for 30 minutes and really try to breathe and think of that connection and to get that body through. And it's injury is such a hard thing, because your mind is saying, I want to do this, but then your body's just like, hey, I can't. And it's coming to that realization of, all right, I can't do this. What can I do? And it's having that mentality of, I'm better than what this is here. And to me, I'm not going to let this injury, or I'm not going to let this problem that I have, this obstacle, to define who I am. I am better than what this is, and I'm going to come out stronger because of it. And to me, what I always say is when an injury comes up, maybe there was something that was, you know, in your form or in your technique or something that happened to cause that. And to try to relearn and to do a different system, make sure that you're doing the correct approach, making sure that, you know, like, are you wearing the correct shoes? Are you doing like different things? And it kind of realigns your process of what to get to make sure that never happens again. It's just, it's something to learn, but it's such a great opportunity that you're going to come out stronger for it. Because what I always say is, you know, I look back at my injury list and I'm like, who else can do that?
There we go.
And I know your family, and I know you can.
Yes,
So,
you can.
yes.
Oh, gosh, that was such a helpful explanation on so many levels, right? Not just about the back, but about, again, that neurological component and that connection. And I think too, Deanna, one of the things that happens when people have a setback, I don't care if it's work, if it's an injury, is they're afraid. That's one of the things I hear a lot. They're afraid they're going to hurt themselves again, or they're afraid they're not doing something right. So that fear comes in. And I think, you know, I think you talked about that, but I don't know if there's anything else you can think of there.
And that's the reaching out. And that's when you have your circle of people, you know, and when you reach out to them, they will inflow with different information. I can be one of those if you love. I'm game for that. You know, I see an acupuncturist, I see a functional movement guy, I see a chiropractor, I get a massage therapist. I have many different outlets. So if something does happen, I know who to reach out and I know what I need to do so that I can take the proper steps to make sure, you know, someone, you know, your athletic trainer's like, oh, this is what's happened. Let's just do these exercises. It never hurts to go out and try to get a little extra. I love acupuncture. I think that is a great way of opening different, I believe in chakras. I believe in all that stuff. And I believe in like energy and how you bring it in and how you let it out. And to me, you know, it is crucial when you are injured to accept those, you know, those voices and those talks of positive influences. And if you have someone negative in your life, that will detriment you so hard in your healing process. So to me, you know, I always, if there's someone negative in my life, I'm like, I appreciate it. I don't know what's going on with your journey, but I know for mine, I need to take a step back so I can, you know, if I was 100%, I'll be more than happy to help. But right now, I have to be able to focus in on my circle and being able to work on my growth so I can help others along the way.
Yeah, that's really helpful. And this is really great that we're recording this too for everybody. So thank you. Any last questions or wrap it up? And I'll let Marilyn just wrap it up. And okay, wonderful. And we'll be repeating this tonight. So Deanna has volunteered with Marilyn and I again tonight. So you know what now we're all about, and we'll make sure we get that video on. So, you know, tonight, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. And then Marilyn, do you mind wrapping it up for us?
Absolutely. Deanna, we just want to say a special thank you for taking your time to join us. And I want to tell you, I do one squat. So you are my total hero. So amazing. I'm so impressed. You're just so inspiring. And your amazing journey. And it was truly a blessing to have you on our call. And I've been through minute injury, and everything you said just went right to my heart. And just thank you so much. And Valerie said you were amazing and inspiring. And I have to say, you are a wow. So I was so glad. And I can't wait to see you tonight too. And then Valerie, thank you always for your dedication and hard work and changing lives. And we'll see everybody at 7 p.m.
Okay, sounds great. Have a wonderful morning and enjoy your day, and go out there and exercise and drink your water and be happy. All right, take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you.